A recent Bloomberg report brought to the fore a reality which was otherwise hidden from the public purview. It revealed that India is inadvertently importing waste from the United States and a few other countries. Just 160 kilometers from Delhi, in the sleepy town of Muzaffarnagar, rag pickers, mostly children, can be spotted scavenging big garbage mounds for plastic waste, which can be tracked back to 12,000 kilometers away in the United States and Europe. Paper factories in India often rely on imported waste paper, which is cheaper than wood pulp. The nation's paper makers need to import around 6 million tons annually to meet demand, and most of it comes from North America. But the bales of paper are frequently contaminated with all kinds of plastic that consumers have tossed into their recycling bins, including the flimsy wrapping that holds water bottles together in a pack, soft food packaging, and shipping envelopes. The world produces 2.01 billion tons of municipal solid waste annually, according to the World Bank data. Waste generation is supposed to increase to 3.40 billion tons by 2050. Out of this, 33% is managed poorly and in environmentally unsafe manner. And out of this, high-income countries, accounting for just about 16% of the world's population, generate 34% of the world's waste, that is 683 million tons. Countries like China, India, Sri Lanka, Philippines, Malaysia, and Indonesia have traditionally been the dumping grounds of such waste. According to a report by the Council for Foreign Relations, or CFR, over 25 countries dumped 121,000 metric tons of plastic waste in India, illegally imported by private companies. In 2018, Beijing said it will only import 99.5% pure and uncontaminated waste, an impossible standard, according to the CFR report. Countries like Malaysia, the Philippines, Thailand, and Vietnam all sent back containers after containers filled with tons of garbage back to the exporter. India used to be the second largest importer of US scrap plastic, but has since 2019 banned almost all imports of plastic waste. And yet, demand for paper has created an unaccountably large loophole in the ban on plastic waste from overseas. India may be bringing in as much as 5 lakh tons of plastic waste hidden within paper shipments annually, according to a government environmental body that estimated the level of contamination at 5%, the Bloomberg report said.
When you are allowed to import any waste for recycling, some amount of contamination is permitted. And but what happens is that contamination should also be essentially non-hazardous in nature. But in certain cases, many exporters, what they're clandestinely doing is mixing paper waste with other kind of undesired waste which are banned in receiving countries, like plastic waste and electronic waste chips, which are otherwise not allowed to be imported in these countries, including India.
Paper may not be the only route for foreign wastage to seep into India. Pandey elaborates that used goods might also be a major factor.
It was kind of initiated with a noble cause, stating that the goods which are not used by first generation users in many countries and discarded, and also with goods with, say, minor defect which can be easily repaired, was sometimes accepted by receiving countries on a charitable basis, not on a commercial basis, but on a charitable basis, to be used by primarily by, say, education institutions or deprived section of societies, which many countries, they started sending waste which couldn't be used in the second generation or third generation, even after repair. And the waste started coming in disguise of second-hand goods.
Prerit Damani, founding partner, Greens World Renewable Resources India LLP, points out that it is nearly impossible to prevent plastic flakes from making their way into the paper imports. However, while plastic flakes can still be recycled or processed, he points to more dangerous kinds of waste imports.
And really speaking, these plastic flakes are very difficult to kind of segregate along with the newspaper or the paper. The paper and the raw material or the bulk paper, or it is impossible to control or check each and every container containing any article, any paper. But still, plastic with the right technology can be handled. But handling e-waste or biohazardous waste or radioactive waste is absolutely a strain on the entire environment.
What then can be possible solutions? Pandey believes that a proposal to use special economic zones for recycling and regulating foreign waste should be reviewed and relooked.
Very important first step is basically sensitizing and capacity building of port officials. And they need to strictly adhere to regulation that if a material which is coming in is not compliant, then they need to strictly initiate the process of sending it back to exporting country. Plan was made that some of these materials will be handled and recycled in special economic zones, or and there will be industries, there will be recycling parks established in these special economic zones, and these will be allowed to import some of these materials where there's a clear value to be derived from recycling, but with the condition that any waste or residue which is getting generated in the recycling would go back to country which has exported that to these recycling parks. So that needs to be now looked at again and looked at how this can be implemented.
Damini also believes that besides a sturdier regulatory framework, India also needs greater infrastructural upkeep in processing waste.
As a country, we generate about 80 million tons of waste annually, and but we can collect or process only 70% out of this. Collect only 70% out of this. We process hardly 25-30 million tons of waste in total. Balance everything goes to landfills, and then 5 years hence you come up with bioremediation plants where and I'm not in no way I'm criticizing this. It's a process which takes time, where the problem is that you clean up certain waste and you put the balance in the landfill. This process needs to be hastened up. For example, when a concessionaire is given an agreement, signs up for an agreement, all his policies, all his implementation plans, all his financial capabilities needs to be cleared upfront. Despite the CPC guidelines, this is not exactly implemented correctly.
Stymieing the inflow of foreign waste will not be easy. Despite the regulations and checks in place, weeding out plastic and hazard waste from recyclable waste will require vigilance. Not just the receiving countries, but the concerned authorities in exporting countries too need to take up the responsibility of segregating waste more efficiently and judiciously. However, if the problem persists, India might have to follow the countries like Vietnam who have started sending foreign wastes back. The question of waste as a byproduct of second-hand goods will still remain and will therefore need regulatory intervention.
If you like this video, share it and subscribe to Business Standard. For more news, views and insights, log on to www.business-standard.com. Do also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram and LinkedIn.